Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. And I think you can look around and see where I'm broadcasting from and realize that the Michigan Business Network is always on the move, right? Come on. All right. So our guest today, Ryan Hundt, he's the CEO of the Michigan Works Association. And Ryan, it is always good to have you on. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Chris. Great to see you. I'm also in my mobile office today. As you mentioned, not only does the Michigan Business Network travel, but I'm also traveling on four wheels today, but always great to be here with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, this reminds me of my college days when you pretty much lived out of your trunk, right?
Right. It
Yeah.
hasn't gotten that bad just yet, but fortunately just day trip for me today.
All right, good enough. Well, thanks for taking the time to join with us. And I want to start out by congratulating you. You had your annual conference up at Soaring Eagle. Let's talk about that a little bit. It was very successful. And for the first in-person meeting, you had really good attendance.
Yeah, it was a wonderful event this year. Like you mentioned, Chris, we were at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort for the 2022 Michigan Works Annual Conference. We had a record number of registrations, just over 800 people registered for the conference. It was great to be back in person for our first in-person annual conference since September of 2019. We also had a record number of sponsorships and exhibitors this year as well. You could feel the positive momentum, the energy. People wanted to be back in person, learning, more importantly, networking with one another. We had some wonderful keynote speeches and also some really fun dueling pianos on Sunday evening during the opening reception of the event, which was a huge hit. So overall, extremely pleased and very grateful for our attendees, our sponsors and exhibitors, and also the Michigan Works staff that pulled that off. We had 5 staff members pull off the largest conference to date for the Michigan Works Association, and a huge kudos to them as well.
You know, I have to tell you too, I was fortunate enough to catch kind of the closing ceremony when you gave out the awards, etc. But let's go back to some of the breakout sessions. Old friend of mine, Quentin Messers, was one of the speakers, and Susan was the other one. That was really crucial. Did you get good feedback from your breakout sessions?
Yeah, we had very strong and positive reception for our breakout sessions. We covered a range of topics from diversity, equity, and inclusion to apprenticeships, internships. It was great to see not only some wonderful presentations and best practices coming from the Michigan networks itself, but we also received very positive feedback on the number of other partners that came to Mount Pleasant, and they gave their insights and shared their best practices on workforce development programs and initiatives that they are working on. The Michigan Chamber of Commerce came up as well, and they gave a presentation. So we had a number of stakeholders from all across the state of Michigan that came to the conference to share some insights and some feedback that they're seeing from out in the field. And that will make our Michigan Works network across the 16 Michigan Works agencies that much stronger going forward, while we're also developing and fostering new partnerships as well.
Well, you know, the beauty of this is it's not only good for the members of the association, but the association usually comes out with some kind of program of work based on what they've accumulated as far as knowledge.
Correct. Yeah, we're actively looking at the workshops and the handouts and presentations to identify what are some emerging trends in the workforce space that we need to maybe focus on going forward into 2023, and using that as sort of a benchmark for us to make sure that we're providing value added services, not only to our members, but also to the workforce development system as a whole. And because of that positive momentum that we experienced at Soaring Eagle last week during the annual conference, we're going to take and harness that positive energy and move right on into conference planning for 2023, where we will have another round of robust and comprehensive workshops, and also a number of other stakeholders that hopefully join us in the Motor City next September 10th through the 12th, 2023 at the Renaissance Center.
Yeah, that will be pretty outstanding, I think, having it down there. That's a dynamic venue, as you know, and boy, Detroit has just come alive in the last few years. Ryan, let's talk a little bit about challenges that are yet ahead of you that you became aware of here. I know we've had some tremendous victories this last year. What still needs to be done?
One thing that we keep hearing about, and we've heard this for the last couple of years, especially coming out of the height of the pandemic, is labor force participation. What can we do to encourage individuals to get back into the workforce if they're not already back in the workforce. Here in Michigan, we also saw some pretty negative effects on women in the workforce, where we lost upwards of 150. I've seen numbers of upwards of 180 to perhaps 200,000 women who left the workforce to care for their children and other family members at the height of the pandemic. And while male employment has recovered for the most part to pre-pandemic levels, women in the workforce is still far short of where it was back in 2019. So that's one thing that we're going to focus on across the Michigan work system going forward, is how can we continue to increase that labor force participation rate so that we are back to the national average, and perhaps more importantly above the national average when it comes to labor force participation. That way we're able to attract and retain more companies that are providing more and better employment opportunities for residents here in the state.
Brian, it looks like we've got about a minute left, but you gave out some pretty good awards in the final ceremony. You want to go through a few of those?
Yeah, we gave out the Shining Star Awards to 16 members across the Michigan Works Network who have gone above and beyond the past couple of years, or the past year really, in support of the workforce development system in each corner of the state. We also provided some awards. Ben Damerow was our champion of workforce development. That award was given out on Monday for his service for workforce development here in Michigan. Bob Showers here in the Lansing region was our volunteer of the year. Orrin Bailey, Advocate of the Year from Connexus Group. And so we've had a wonderful opportunity. My favorite part of the annual conference is providing those award opportunities and recognizing those individuals who have made those contributions to the Michigan work system each and every year. And Chris, thank you again for your attendance. We appreciate your support as well.
Well, listen, it's a tremendous organization. I'm happy to be part of it, and you and your staff are to be commended. You did a great conference.
Thank you.
All right, partner. We'll check in with you soon. I'm Chris Holman, coming to you as you see remote, and you were watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network.